The next question is money designed to be addictive? This is an incredibly important question to have in any society throughout the majority of our cultural history over 3,000 years. Because I think for a long time, money was definitely designed to become an addiction. And first, let's just define what an addiction is. An addiction is that you are dependent as a human being to function with a said substance, be it heroin or an idea or, in this case, money, to live. And if you don't have that access to that substance or this material substance, then you will die or perish or suffer in terrible pain and torment. So just look at the Jordan Peterson. He became a drug addict to cope with his pressures of life, and got to a point where if he didn't have the drug, he would literally physically die. Now, I believe exactly the same thing can be said by money. If you do not have money, then you will literally die in this capitalist society that we live in. So I'm referring to capitalism, of course, as being the overlords, the designer of what money is, rather than just a transaction between goods being passed between two people. It is designed to be as I said, an addiction, meaning that education is denied to you. You live in pain and suffering and bewilderment and without education, and the capitalists designed it so that money is required just to become a human being, to grow and understand the communities and families and different religions and sexualities. Money is, we are dependent to overcome these boundaries. Well, that is in a terrible situation to be in, that water, food, education and other vital facets of human nature needed to survive are denied you if you don't have money. People die in famines. This is designed on purpose by capitalism, that has deemed that if you have money, then you will be able to live as a human being, but you must be addicted to money. Therefore, do any act necessary to have more money, because without it, as I've just described, you live a terrible life. All designed in the capitalist system. Anybody like to contribute into that?
So I will start off with the idea that, well, money is an inanimate object. You cannot be addicted to it. In fact, it's a very functional, it has a great function, which makes it really easy to buy and sell things. Otherwise, you'd have to buy and sell things with carrots, and if you don't like carrots, I can't buy your phone, I can't get the iPhone. So money is highly functional, but I can see how it can be addictive in the sense that what it enables you to do is just buy more and more things. So the real addiction is not the money, okay? And I'm a big believer in blaming ourselves rather than blaming other things, including inanimate objects, so like money. So what I believe is that materialism is an addictive goal or something. So you'll find that every time you buy, let's say, an iPhone, you buy the iPhone 6 and you go, oh, iPhone 7's come out, I really need that, and I won't be happy until I get that thing. So that's a never-ending goal. And so I'll give you a chance in a few seconds. I like to remind people that all my ideas are coming from the Quran, and there's a beautiful description of this particular situation when it describes, let's say, the non-spiritual endeavor, which you could call materialism, as a chasing of the mirage. So a mirage, as you might know if you've ever been to a desert or really hot area, is sort of something you chase, which is in the distance, and you think it looks like water, and if you're really thirsty, you'll be really desperate to get it. But as soon as you get there, it's nothing, it disappears, the illusion disappears, and that's exactly what materialism is like. You keep thirsting for something that you're missing, and then you don't get it because it's always in the distance, and as soon as you get that thing, the illusion is shattered. So that's the danger of mirage.
Coming quickly, then I'll come straight up to you.
Yeah.
But it's not a mirage to want food. I think it's an absolute necessity, or water, and yet without money, in lots of countries, you're left to die en masse in horrific situations where families, mothers and fathers, are watching their children die off simply because there's not enough food, when we all know that there's gross amounts of food available. It's just you're only allowed access to this gross amount of food if you have the money.
You want to talk? Oh, okay, go on. Yeah.
Another word for money is capital.
Yeah.
And we live in a capitalist society, which started around about 1648. Before that, money was less important. Before that, people tended to eat from the land, the peasants from the land, and the money was less important. Even before that, and going right back to the agricultural revolution, money simply didn't exist at all. So all of these problems you say we have today are specifically because we live in a capitalist society, which is an economic, political, and social society. So therefore, if you do away with the capitalist system, I'm not saying what you should replace it with, although I have my own ideas. If you do away with the capitalist system, you do away with all these desires to have a phone every 6 months and a car every year and all this acquisitive. You call materialism, which is not materialism. Materialism is a philosophical concept meaning solid things. What you call materialism is the efforts and the pressure of a capitalist society, which we all are pressurized by. Even those that are against this capitalist society, as I am, I still have a mobile phone. I still have to buy things. I still have to make money. So unfortunately, we are victims of a capitalist society. And as victims, that is why we have all these problems.
So, I mean, you want to go next?
I want to clarify that. Your observations that we are forced to live in a capitalist society, absolutely correct. We live in a dictatorship. We have no vote over what we are allowed to spend our money on, because advertising circumvents our rationality. And when as I mentioned earlier, without education, which we are denied if you don't have money, then how can we make rational free will choices about the world we live in? If we are punished for not being of a particular religion by saying, well, there's only one religion left for you then, that means, which is capitalism. If you don't want to be Christian or Jewish or Muslim, then we're going to make you and force you to become capitalist. There are other ways of being a human being that can contribute wonderfully to families, communities and society. And money is designed to be addictive at every single level of the creation, and how the World Bank functions and operates, which dictates which products and processes must happen in your country. The World Bank dictates this. It uses money as the golden rule, as a understanding of not the wealth of money, but the wealth of your heart as a human being. That should never be linked. Those never should be linked.
Are you saying how much time we got left for this one, or you want to make a comment?
Has there been examples of societies actually living successfully without money?
So that's a great question, because I think we've experimented with communism lots of times and with disastrous results. The most murders, the most poverty, and so the difference is either you get the government to decide the price of things, which is terrible, because you can't get the government to decide the price of millions and millions of products, or you get individuals who are buying and selling the product, and that's capitalism. And so I think there was I would say, incorrect question when you said if you don't have enough money to buy food. We're not disagreeing that people should have food. In fact, we had an earlier discussion where we agreed that there should be a baseline level of food, shelter, water, basic needs met, and that's what government should do, right? Okay, but above that, money itself doesn't harm people. We need to take responsibility and stop thinking we're victims and pretending there's some utopian. We love to push these utopian ideals that don't exist. Just like you said, communism has been an experiment people have tried so many times and has failed.
I have to say something here.
Amish.
The human beings have been on this earth for about 1 million years, and that's a conservative estimate. Can I go on? Human beings have been on this earth for 1 million years, until the last 13,000 years, which is that, human beings didn't have
He's listening.
human beings didn't have money, and they lived in a communalistic society, a communist society. For a million years, human beings lived in a communist society. It was only in the agricultural revolution in 13,000 years ago that all of this shit that we have to put up with nowadays is happening. Before that, human beings lived in a natural environment without any wars or any problems whatsoever. And as for the modern communism, which is supposed to have started in 1917 in Russia, modern communism, which started in 1917, was destroyed by the capitalist encirclement in the world. Capitalism destroyed communism. That's why communism didn't work.
Sure. What do you want to say?
That I think that capitalism is. I think that there is an economic system that works well actually, but the capitalism I think that is the worst. In any country in the world, I think that the communism work well, but I think that a real communism. In a real communist, I think that it will work better than the capitalism because the capitalist system is what you say that is all the things is economic, but also political, is misogyny, is racism, it's all the things together, is all the system.
That's exactly what I was saying.
My only brief comment is, if we got rid of money, we'll be reduced to the Stone Age again, because we won't be able to make anything. Because to make a single phone, you need so many components and so much trade that nothing would work anymore.
I'm going to round up this conversation. The universities fund most of the technology in iPhones, which means it's done by public, not by capitalism. Capitalism hasn't developed the iPhone. They've just developed the need for a new iPhone. That's what capitalism does. It develops you need to have a new one. But it was universities and, unfortunately, militaries as well that have contributed to most of the intellectual property rights within inside a. To summarise, we're not talking about, because you criticise money doesn't mean you're talking about communism. It just means we're trying to have a discussion about what world we can live in. But it doesn't mean anything to do with communism. It means having a frank and open discussion. We should talk about communism, though, at another one of our questions.